Welcome back to the Everyday Stoic. I am William Mulligan, and today's video is about fear. How would a Stoic deal with fear? How the Stoic practices and lessons can help aid us in overcoming fear. Today's lesson isn't as factual or history based, it's more my interpretation of Stoic teachings and how I would use them to confront fear, and how this can aid you in living, as William B. Irvine said, the good life. Fear. Fear can be immobilizing. It can fog our thoughts. It can make us think illogically. It can stop us from doing the things we want to do, as it places an obstacle in our way that sometimes can be so immovable, so frightening that we cannot even conceive the thought of moving past it. But we can move past it, and we can do those things that fear is telling us not to do. Now, fear is there for good reason and can be logical at times. You know, the fear of heights that we develop as a baby can stop us from falling off high things. The fear of, people have fear of spiders, fear of snakes, fear of loud noises. That's, I think, is the first fear that we develop, is loud noises, because in most cases, loud noises is a bad thing. It's a loud animal, it's falling rocks, it's thunder. So we develop fears for a reason, but sometimes through our upbringing, through our past, through things that have happened in our lives and our circumstances, we can develop irrational fears, and sometimes even some fears that are rational, like maybe public speaking, because there is a chance you go up there and you will get embarrassed and it's not a nice feeling. We can still overcome them, and this breakthrough will lead to a growth in character. So fear can be combated in many ways, and the Stoic ways in which to combat fear would be control, gratitude, and courage. And these three things will lead you, or can lead you, to overcoming fear. We often fear things because they are outside of our control. And when things are outside of our control, they can become irrational, they become unpredictable, and this can be quite scary. When we don't know the outcome can become anything. And in our minds, we create usually the worst case scenario. Oftentimes in our head, the outcome is many times worse than the actual real outcome of the thing. And it's probably happened to you before, where you're scared to go to the dentist, scared to go to a party, scared to go to the shops, whatever it may be, and in your head, before going to the dentist, you're thinking the immeasurable pain, the absolute fright that you're going through, the horrors of the dentist, and then afterwards you leave with a sense of it wasn't that bad. And when we have this fear inside our head, we actually suffer more than we need to, because we suffer the days leading up to going to the dentist or to the party or to whatever you're fearing. You suffer for all that time, and then maybe you suffer a little bit when you get there, but the suffer is never equal to what's going on in your head, because what goes on in your head is boundless. Your thoughts, your imagination is so powerful that you can create the worst horrors within your head, and most of which are never true. Seneca said, "Sometimes the sword has been checked, even at the victim's throat. Men have survived their own executioners. Even bad fortune is fickle. Perhaps it will come, perhaps not. In the meantime, it is not. So look forward to better things." The way in which we can combat through control is through understanding the dichotomy of control. Now, I'll do a brief explanation of the dichotomy of control and how you can use that to combat fear, but I will have a video on more depth on what the dichotomy of control is. So simply put, the dichotomy of control is understanding what is within your control and what is out of your control. when you understand what is in your control and what is out of your control, the things outside of your control you need not worry about, because you have no effect on them. There's no way you can change them. So worrying does nothing. All it does is make you feel bad. But having said this, when you understand the dichotomy of control, or just understanding what was just on your screen there, what is in your control, what is outside of your control, it actually gives you the power to realize that you do have control over many things, and there is less things to worry about, so you can actually put more energy into the things you do control. And just thinking this way, with the understanding of the dichotomy of control, keeping it at the back of your mind at all times, it slowly starts to develop a characteristic where you worry less about the things outside of your control. Now, you can't diminish that worry, but it is something that over time, maybe days, weeks, months, years, over time, when you understand the dichotomy of control, the things outside of your control become less of a worry to you as you focus your intentions to the things you can control. Now, I think that is very important to overcoming fear. So, another way in which the Stoics would combat fear is through one of the 4 virtues, which is courage. Now, courage is the ability to stand up despite fear. It's to be able to face your fear, ultimately to do what you think is right. Courage is the ability to do what is right despite the implications, or maybe the things. We do what is right despite the fear, because ultimately what is right is what we should do, and sometimes fear can hold us back from that. Now, practically put, it's easier said than done to go do it despite fear. But I think it's worth noting that the courage is one of the 4 virtues the great Stoics held so dear, that the 4 virtues actually led to a life of eudaimonia, and eudaimonia is human flourishing. So if we can just keep in our mind that we should be courageous, like the great philosophers of old, like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, even Socrates, Seneca, when they faced these great challenges, they kept courage in their mind, and this is a way in which they combated fear. The things they feared, they knew that to be virtuous, to achieve eudaimonia, you had to be courageous. That was imperative, that you must be a person of courage. Now, another way in which we can be courageous and combat fear is to think of people we respect or people we love, and think about the courage they've had sometimes in their life. Maybe they've gone through really difficult times, or they've done something very courageous, or they've even faced their fear. We can look at them as inspiration, and Marcus Aurelius was very big on looking towards people he respected and looking at them for inspiration and for guidance, and we should do that. Maybe it's our parents or a friend or a teacher or just someone we know or someone we've seen in the news. We can look at them and remember that we should be courageous just like them, and that's a great way to combat fear. And again, like control, sometimes it can just happen like that. When we think of being courageous, it happens like that. But oftentimes this courage is built into our character over a long time of just keeping in mind that we should be courageous and we should face our fears. Gratitude is a little bit different to the others. By using gratitude to face our fears sounds, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like a way to combat fear. But if we can remember to be grateful every day, if we can keep gratitude in our mind, and maybe even keep a journal where you write your 3 things you're grateful for, or over time you develop the mindset to focus on gratitude and the positive things in your life. And the way in which this combats fear is that oftentimes fear can be built through the mind and the things we are looking towards. People build a mindset based off of fear as a safety net, as things to avoid, and we start to focus on all the negatives and the things that we should fear. But if we can try to stop doing that and we start to focus on the things we are grateful for, it gives us a great sense of gratitude. It makes us feel a lot better. And we start to notice the good things in life, the things that we should look out for, look forward to, the things that we should be excited for, instead of the things we should fear. So this is actually a great way to combat fear, as it really shifts your mind to focus on the positive. So they are the 3 characteristics that we can use to combat fear. Now, there is an exercise that Seneca used to combat fear. So the exercise is this. In order to remove fear, we must mentally rehearse and face it head on. In a situation where we have to face this fear, the process of negative visualization can help. Imagine the worst. Imagine how it may make you feel. Imagine how you would navigate yourself out of a situation. By preparing yourself, you set yourself up with a healthy coping mechanism. So that is negative visualization. And this actually fits into gratitude. When we meditate on the thought of bad things happening, we can overcome them within our minds, and that helps us in the future if we ever come against these things. And it also gives us a sense of gratitude, as if we face the fear of losing something or losing someone, when we end the meditation, we realize all the things we do have. When you're filled with the sadness of losing something, it makes you realize how much you actually love this thing, or how much it means to you. So it fills us with gratitude. And remember, guys, gratitude is a way in which we combat fear. So gratitude's a good thing. Anywhere you can find gratitude is great. So keep that in mind. Gratitude, courage, and control. If you can keep these 3 things, with control being the dichotomy of control, you can keep these 3 things in your mind, maybe write them down somewhere or jot them down in your phone. And anytime you're faced with fear or a challenge, just think about control. What is in your control? What is out of your control? Think about gratitude. What are you grateful for? What's the positives? And then courage. How can you be courageous? How can you act on one of the 4 important virtues of the Stoics, which is courage? How can you build your strength of character through these 3 things? So hopefully this video helped you in facing fear. It's just a Stoic outlook on the fear. And remember, fear can be important sometimes. The fear of heights, fear of large animals can keep us safe. But don't let fear control you. You have to think about what you can achieve if you overcome this fear, how much your life can develop in a positive way when you overcome this fear, and that can build the excitement to wanting to face this fear, to keeping the 3 things in your mind and combating this fear. Wild animals run from the dangers they actually see, and once they have escaped them, they worry no more. We, however, are tormented alike by what is past and what is to come. A number of our blessings do us harm, for memory brings back the agony of fear, while foresight brings it on prematurely. No one confines his unhappiness to the present. So Seneca is teaching that fear is the greatest enemy. Please consider going to www.theeverydaystoic.com. The link will be in the bio, and you can buy the Memento Mori calendar, which I've been using for a few months now, and every time I tick off a box, it gives me a sense of gratitude for the time I've had, and it fills me with the sense of urgency to use the time I have left wisely. It really helps support what I'm doing, and it's very appreciated. I hope you have a great day.